have it. Ducky ice cream, y'all look really good.
Yep.
I'm gonna grab my floor paper from here and I'll start. If it is what is the environment defined not being carbon neutral, the EPA's legal force hydrogen such as K70 federal lands bloomer. And 22, the various energy report for force hydrogen renewable carbon fast hydrogen including rich in categories fire energy and carbon neutral. The EPA issued a policy calls for force by says carbon neutral. The EPA is to include this in the form of regulation by design issued safeguard emissions and very short investment in jobs like with biomass money for use in encouraging agencies to biomass development clean hydrogen at the end. Mass money for use also like its own ability to run one pound facilities by energy. These will increase uses and cost of biomass energy but increasing off it. By controlling thermal units then the leisure carbon accounting loophole with force hydrogen technically renewable by dump switches in the atmosphere while keeping environmental destruction Canberra. 20 vision from the Lockheed Federal performance plan of biomass energy and renewable expectation about lowering the carbon accounting loophole to reduce the carbon neutral rates for emissions and coal because more this granted during the same energy county trees with these much more carbon this is a recovery no more grow emission and everything like with 3/4 ability the trust of carbon to the atmosphere with this water by subsidies and the industries of much harder control the subsidies on the Lockheed Federal lands and increase emissions worse carbon emissions because we can't be got to what increase significantly heat retract water by the emission for storm flooding subsidies only into our CG climate scenario one is warming wood bioenergy pushes the mass and think what to be able to stop warming turbine in 22 the wood bioenergy increases the carbon supply global warming even temporarily elevated levels because the universal climate change the carbon from the wood begins warming immediately she travel now faster the sea rises a large much more likely from a some of the short term warming if the wind and up in burn access warming from wood increases the chance of going beyond one lead environment climate change of the consequence of devastating the sea levels rising closing millions the use of crops and drought fluid follow droughts water rising storms are more frequent and extreme pushing north the tipping point of the lead to irreversible harm warming causes extinction lines 20 heat ocean people will teach as our heat will be about CG 200 unless you don't live next with the ocean that flows and so by the atmosphere attacks and those of plants the boat ready would be tested 16 to north Europe Russia Canada heat temperature information evaporates souls of the away deep hit dust humid bed so much future green gas the biosphere seeing no windows fire the petrol blast people choosing the shade and thought the brush would trip the earth with water burning the lead sense of possible take a second only last out of this picture with CO2 with CO2 like those crossing country even spike carbon day which was by the energy max which CO over the greenhouse table where we keep running off the coast we can take more and these currently existing entire planet having a huge effect on the stability of the planet that lose result and percent of the group make a difference difference between extinction and ecosystem and the pathway geothermal wind solar nuclear we reduce against after planet less which will likely naturally never will be used on my 2 so 2 2.5 and so on to the point of likely the catastrophic spread the 20 things is just stable one region on the change all processes of red all red temperature degree range limited 1 degree rarity 1 by 2 adding 1 trigger 1 but the lower PSL reinforced comments on like another system will change will models and I capture all the rest is coming this how there should be marked the Gen I super foundations I do expect to know which risk and not given the uncertainty high possibility should receive special attention into the worst case biomass is worse than possibly also opposite the 23 ratio provided those CDL study leaking emissions as if it would hold in the middle of the US all export of most of 10 million tons of emissions that were higher than 2030 the further coverage go ahead and out releasing the storage trees releasing carbon on the white block enforced using wood and increase carbon in the atmosphere for centuries even though the wood is placed in coal down to oil natural gas on the time to short urging them to stop burning trees to make energy wood and harvesting on the for initial raise emission for 2 of river fossil fuel equivalent of firewood more than double emission burning wood by wood biomass is worse than fossil fuels the economics part forestry and below fishing forest fire from the best way the protect fire reversing enhanced carbon recovery pro-forestation key to reverse warming bluer 22 and then effective the climate change mitigation requires addressing both long-term and near-term risks to stay within 1.5 that protect forests that's much carbon short and least minimize from the line for pro-forestation which are the earth's capacity stay within 1.5 that same back climate change to enhance mitigation will slow people to stop warming must be on the 1.5 meeting this requires everything carbon storage requires forests scenario 2 is biodiversity deforestation collapsible biodiversity starting over warming cushions 22 in the forest liver more than mitigation they bridge biodiversity extinction on the trees out 76% of the land enables other forest which are the 4 lethal forest conservation enhance biodiversity less and catch traffic on biodiversity on the basic because by the time the species has service great oxygen through respiration supporting food biodiversity resilience attracting holes and air values and faster then many points the diet storm resulting in the extinction crisis of our making this critical policymakers and the center actions that restore ecosystem provided avoiding this significant action biodiversity life causes extinction so 22 by 2015 the islands code election they must gain most wildlife 1% termination loss population service and less species they no species limited out you can much the network of species diversity of crop species crop yield medicine pollination nutrients merging controlling notices regulation militant use of plant planting fungi have to the human population and diversity regulate these factors which verify all the humanity cannot start with the absence of biodiversity safety being present with the coverage of scores on realistic the defense is wrong and not dependent on warming McPherson 22 of the current is fluid the greatest control that they can recycle resources flow changes provide opportunity to have power feeding celebration critical extinction including humans and animals soccer acid bro needing trust food animals without something to see this each of one resolving for another even when blood when it have need organization match temperature levels not like the content of biodiversity and habitability for our species and the other depend on the fact that once assessed to beyond warming US actions keep global biodiversity routes 19 land over the world are great pushing importance of mass capacity to have meal there's biodiversity land it's powerful asset domain for where public aliens public parks wilderness important as a world such as so solution by the world and central health species being hit the hard to lose bears and birds and after the reality cycle this fires and wildlife resistance 6 perhaps to lose by 1 takes surviving help. Those are important plans if you should run the safe walls for the centers of IRB over 10,000 space events in only naked fast. Plus the real station find safe refuge. The AFF solves first substitute and the stop goal force energy expansion servant. 27 wood. By interested so that's what bio energy taskers are paying power and power production so that may combination towards the innovation and energy storage are very good and out. The technology kind of about me ever. And once energy base needs affordability on the investments in energy efficiency too. Keep global warming under 2 degrees emissions plus fall wood bio energy decrease emissions and takes a climate change. The most critical using the wood displaces coal. Any subsidies that promote by wood bio energy will reduce emissions a lot. The forcing to do preserving the right of world's carbon seek moderate climate change. Second, internationally, U.S. action alone sends a signal that brings shifts in leakage put forward. 23, the southeastern only forest security for the semi-production the agriculture push the industry down the region with free work industry actually someone likely to first. The producer lack of so to pick up a move given investment manufacturing reliance on those number 2 repetitive is elastic. You consider the responding to trend by switching to alternative rather than seeking under response to southwest. East minor sure may indicate leakage to the time is critical not to get with the use turn away from expanding markets and send stronger. Market single that serve a single service of one driver policy change. Thus the plan the next federal government should eliminate wood biomass subsidies, advantage 2, sacrifice stones, wood by forest energy, devastate black indigenous communities come up. The 23 forest in the southeastern U.S. are blocking 4 times the rate of the Amazon and feel wood pellet industry that has grown tenfold to hit biomass sides. Process temper on the plant side and low communities cover the ecological emissions including generated by biomass and normally consequences. Environmental justice biomass positions as innovative champions of renewable energy proposed facility power 10. The jungle change for hazardous volatile compounds, nitrous oxide, dust, and noise that company where the facilities fail. Do some require pollution controls, costs, and communities where black indigenous people and other people come in the medicine sorry to be a rich portion of the burdens of toxic activists. Frame biomass complicit in environmental racism and extractivism and the activist fight against biomass. Local minority communities have protested and fight against environmental racism, wood pellet operation showing. 23 wood pellet production and the plants and with the opposition of local communities, multiple NAACP chapters have come in opposition to wood pellet operation, finding African Americans who live near biomass and power plants are more likely to suffer from exposure to a number of dangerous emissions such as smog, asbestos, sulfur dioxide, and other toxins that any of the risk group in America makes the recording sample of racism, the American legislation, American Heart Association opposed. This pension of wood pellet production and the due to help most surrounding communities, the production degree and water quality ecosystem services and harvesting trees for wood pellet production that produces ever more disproportionate effects on engaging communities opposition of the communities on which plans are set off because unheeded force energy production trees by minority communities as sacrifice stone show by 20 biomass demand has led to disproportionate effect of wood pellet production in the U.S. Some has historically marginalized communities. She has created new groups sacrifice stone the effect of wood biomass production on local communities is that other consideration can notably asset from biomass laws that the U.S. wood pellet production facilitates facilities devastate black and teen communities like who oppose production more 23 organizations here and other wood pellet pellet industry grassroots organization conservative citizens of County Challenge biomass facility in Adel has conducted the petition of Adel called Delco Alarm whose social member of black and Latino communities have populations surrounding the site of people of color 1 mile of the property of about a single lives in the black community called United Russian to start racial distribution habits not by accident. Communities want these facilities to for us 23 communities that face an increase on the evolution which impacts the communities and the farmer race and the multi-white counterparts section residents are really interested in the country with taxpayer issues that are already facing local communities. The standard will be impacted our economy. The country's education is called and vast economic crisis was associated value standing forest communities that face overwhelming population pollution burdens that serve better proven by testimonies come up 23 communities experience the presence of these plans articulated repeated living community members and hearings interviews testimony please where people work with become publishers those who go to public hearings and interviews often be believed in personal anecdote back about that significant disproportionate impact of people public populations provoking by forced by right mass in destination as renewable ruby subsidies collapses the industry come up 20 people the international biomass and environmental regime the reputation everything biomass designation is green or renewable directly correlated rates of market share without an entire supply chain crumbles with essential subsidies and biomass claim the renewable substance delivery scrutiny is shareholders likely know nothing about externalities to take the corporate government possibly effective face value of the forest biomass industries are not practice competitive and cannot suffer the subsidies north the 21 parts for wood based biomass is low reducing our ability to supply wood based biomass panel develop panels of the conventional system to harvest biomass as a small landowners are likely to engage wood based biomass production they are sure assistant government subsidies designed to ensure investment biomass harvesting will cover any biomass facility have attained the full biomass harvest potential of the less lagos and cities stakeholders biomass production trust that biomass for biomass will increase the persistence of little incentive to invest in biomass supply chain. Go back to the environment advantage. Only securitizing warming is essential can achieve then buy necessary to solve it. Leaving the 20 skip 7% more strongly than much of a essential threat. The time markets required for population will be similar to war that we no chance of persuading voters to have economic challenge and changes unless they'll take a speak of essential threat of things that have adopted climate change denials, political culture adopted, all with deep trust and scientific expert only in the military. Retains cultural procedure. For instance, the climate change is really a threat. The liberal marxist background to rights hostility to securitization, but it's considerably apparent people who they like are to black with the tools to take effective action. Its visibility based inspire sacrifices, elevating climate change and external threat reflects consistency by change on apathy. Davidson, the 23 sentence called for exposure to over 11,000 signed and the statement by warning that catastrophic threat opposed by climate the critics claim discussion extremely risk of quality counterproductive of these conservative entities the real the reason I think the extremely risk of local decarbonization like resistance such as slow action for false policy so is there strong enough or is there strong negative no is there nor is there strong okay.
A yes or no would suffice. When evaluating the consequences of an action, does the justification matter?
Ethan, you want to say yes to that?
Not sure I understand the question.
Yeah.
And so, yes, to some degree, obviously,
To some degree.
justifications of the act include things like the representation,
Yeah,
the
consequences matter,
consequences
but
of claim,
includes
the impact to the
representation.
head.
What branch of the USFG does the act?
The United States federal government.
Does it have Congress?
To be frank, I actually don't know exactly which part of the government would cancel subsidies. We defend the United States
Okay.
federal
Does
government.
it
If you like
happen
read a
immediately?
card, we'll
Yeah,
make the argument.
Well, does it happen immediately?
Yeah.
Okay. Does the 1AC defend renewables? Speeding
The
up
1AC ends would biomass subsidies.
Does it speed up the transition of renewables?
The 1AC ends would biomass
What do
subsidies.
we transition to afterwards?
That's irrelevant to the question of the 1AC. We have read would biomass bad. We have said impacts based on that. We end those.
Okay. Warming, how is it existential? Is it the emissions themselves or is it a polycrisis?
Well, we're not going to use the term polycrisis because we're not Michigan State, but the argument is from the line of evidence is that creates a confluence of tipping points, creates societal collapse and pressures on
What
society.
is that
So
tipping point? Like is it 1.5?
the argument that Linus makes is that there is not just one tipping point, but that every single degree matters. The line at the bottom, Linus, is very good. It says
Yeah,
one point.
what
It says
number is
1.5.
the existential tipping point?
That's irrelevant to the question because every threshold matters. It makes it more existential risk exponentially.
Okay,
That's
so how
the
does the
argument.
1AC solve unless it deletes all emissions?
That's irrelevant because we've read cards that say that wood biomass is what pushes us past the tipping points. The
Okay,
first
push
internal
us
link.
past the tipping point.
Yeah.
You have some number. Why won't you just tell us the fucking number?
Well, you're missing the point. The tipping points is that we push it past another half degree, another degree, etc. as a result of the emissions and the lack of like carbon storage from forests. That's
Okay.
the argument.
Who are the black women side in the 1AC?
I don't have specific names, but the one.
Ethan's got it pulled up.
What?
Go ahead.
What
The
do you-
black woman side in the 1AC.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't have specific names. The 1AC has read a second advantage about communities impacted by wood biomass.
Those communities, what are their names?
The 1AC names Adel and Stockton, which are two communities in California. There's also, I think it's Actonboro, North Carolina. Am I saying that right?
No.
There's one in North Carolina I always forget the name of. Which one is it?
No, I'm forgetting the name.
Oh my god, Ethan, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, the top of the card says, quote, the international biomass demand.
Yeah.
Where's the spillout claim?
Yeah, well, we don't need to win a spell-out claim because that misses the point of how biomass industry works. So
well,
we,
all of your cards
can
say we
you let me
get
answer the
supply from
question?
the UK.
Yeah, you let me answer the question and I'll explain it.
Yeah,
That's
go
like the whole point of the carbon accounting loophole part is that all the production in the US is shipped to the EU where it's burned. So the US counts no emissions because all they do is just cut down the trees. The EU counts no emissions because all they do is burn.
Your card
That's
says
the
it
point.
comes from the UK. UK.
That's wrong. It's the
subsidizes us.
exact opposite. The UK imports every single bit of wood biomass from the US that is milled in the US.
Guess that's a debate to be had.
Once he set 7 off in case. Kansas, y'all got the dog? Good. Okay, come on, Sean. Sure, you're good?
Yep.
Sorry.
Great save.
Do you want to maybe sit on this thing instead?
Yeah,
That we can't close the door.
it's fine.
You good? Okay.
Yeah.
I feel safer with your laptop not.
Yeah, me too. I love that that's on video forever.
Yeah, there's a. Oh, I didn't record it. My laptop broke in Georgetown.
Okay.
First off is T. MBI is limited to carbon taxing, habitary Moselle 10 or more grades determined to find referred to ensure the principal price of greenhouse gas emissions at their tax or habitary tradable renewable certificates and it's a voter for limits. Any other ancient blacks or predictable basis overruns the NEG research for enterprise for parent control debates. Next off, politics. Republican tool passes CR but given razor thin margins as a contingent on maintaining unity. Pope Allen 36,000
this energy crisis through what that's Smith 23 AALs, you research farm, it appears grammatically correct, today ignorance language is complicated by socio-political AALs, the European form of socio-cultural AALs, which form identity, number, spirituality helps collective identity, defines connection through our ancestors, solve English, with African American grammatical, rhetorical parts, to speak, codes of that, white slaves cannot detect code switching, singular, cultural, rhetorical structure, selective use of black energy, double consciousness, and linking to itself through others, clean energy is racist, you dig, that's misfitly 14 coding, is a substance of polluting impurity, which is dangerous and linked to a shared perception and given symbolical to the word clean sense associated with impurity or unclean history race. The black-white spectrum in terms of purity, contamination, dirt is a product of systematic classification. Cleanliness is mixed with symbolic ideas and concepts.
Okay. The 180's energy politics is dominated by a racial economy built up enslavement that requires subliminal investments into it in order to secure the plantation. For years 24, relationship between modern activists and the development of concept of energy come to define the concept of energy come to define human racial distinction, both of racialization and all my practices are argued in European which represents itself, even itself the creation of figures of independent interracial and intuitive categories of categories of ontological other than attracting into the image of the white racial European made the conquests and with the same conquests scientific discovery just historically justified races of white and attract practices by human facility to possibility attraction of intersectionality, European conceptualization of energy means minimizing waste and outside the economy of operation, minimizing waste, improving colonized peoples and attracting energy, labor, profit, improving waste, so nature, progress, European modernity, colonization is under the logic of foundation, Western civilization, darker side, Western modernity, and the 1AC is a form of hegemonic greenwashing that caps innovation and justifies eminent domain, offshoring, and global eco-fascism. I'm Reg 21. Green growth, basic climate discourse, green does not alter inequities, scaling emotions, locations, and production, creating their economies are offshoring, manufacturing goods, designing the global south, upstream of the 5 100 peer-reviewed articles found that massive speed reduction necessary to halt cannot be achieved to be doubling green growth appears to be a fiction used to imagine the end of the world, and actual modern will not be made of fossil fuels, not enough land, no economy, zero, carbon sinking, and jump to Scenario 24, heading anti-political activity, black and anti-political activity, black and demonizes policy, black like the desires of ideals of right and judgment, evidence and interruption about fixation preserve, a rising of Western global jump required to just using different creation of environmental horizons rather than altogether disciplined, like jump, slave reporting, and bruise of black freedom, and protect social summation, or treatment, and leads to space of critical reaction, gentlemen, slave liberation cannot be done from within the confines of black as you have to be separate in the horizon. Next off case is the cataclysm. The United States federal government ought to engage in prior binding consultation with the Black Hive on whether or not they should eliminate would it be necessities. So the United States federal government should adopt the outcome of the consultation regarding the plans and improvements that solves the gap that avoids an anti-black environmental crisis in Model 19. But indicates controversies over environmental justice and efficient decisions affecting local populations and not have avoids the first policy response to environmental justice considered to be local populations to see at the table developing local governments incorporating local comments policies just to ensure the disadvantage of many can bargain more effectively having second points minimize the gentrification of vaccine direct effects of gentrification and energy prices maybe and this will be rescinded with the foreboding forwarded regulatory decision making and they say yes they agree with carbon skip that card. Next off. Before the U.S. requires certification Bill 85. These were specifically contrasted data and incumbency in the class of vote for black around the actions of basis for all strategy business like war powers, politics, and counter mechanisms. Cameron's case. 1. Climate change doesn't cause extinction. Offshoring and leakage direct acid obviously all causes like China and India overall, but decarbonization does produce more emissions. Starts in 2024. Will American shut down coal, we're removing plastic, filming paper, orders to pharmaceuticals, North America, cut the phosphorus consumption, half percent of consume 7 times more than China and India require minimal pollution control, so much so that the English accurate buildings will be covered with torrents, panels, generators, line warehouses can simultaneously erect extract materials required to manufacture mine, and as companies can produce either carbon or electric vehicles require 9 times more materials to combine second glass plates, offshore will require 14 times more good energy, star required 50 more provides the global challenges, action planning, produce will devise water scarcity and pollution, toxic, mining and waste range at 2, empirics proof that there's no biodiversity collapse or extinction, those at 23, data sound of good reason, sometimes to bring it back, such that actually give us a good reason, because the world there's been much hotter, PTM 85 million years ago, there was 70 degrees above the pre-industrial average of 60 degrees to limited the PTM did only the vast change of soil temperatures rapidly rising, we see more reporting green light temperatures, average by 10 degrees of Swiss Alps, to warming at 2 to 5 degrees of Sierra Nevada, occurred over 60 centuries against the abundant evidence surviving temperatures are, in the worst case scenario, the IPCC report humans, greater numbers technology forward can survive ongoing climate action. 3. Renewable energy worsens warming requires unsustainable mining practices and fossil fuels at every level of the supply chain. Our evidence is compared to fossil fuel mining. If the choice C no links this, it means that they cause fossil fuels, which definitely causes warming. Dumb up and Jenkins of 20. Market-based scientists fail at addressing issues in meaningful way, check because of the conservation period, because operating complement and each other commodified natural resource attracting value. The result of decision renewable energy can lead to many ecological crises, stress and restriction and mass consumption, sociological causes, solar wind, or both leading to extended extractive industries and roles, responsibility of exhaustion and mining will not know the impact of cars and the atmosphere practically later, observing the sun and solar parents and the land receiving ecological and alterations will find fossil fuels added to product supply chain covers of steel and production steel is impossible without putting an allergical coal, which is rare to renewable energy emissions, so listen, mineral exhausting and support to recognize that also logic and likely happening human rights reasons that are looking behind mention card then. If not, then fossil fuel companies reclaim their share of the market. Vulcan Green Energy News 16. Company which means time consumption of combustion equipment was a witness to permanent conflict of interest.
Okay. You good?
Let me send this out, and then I realized that the doc counterprint text for the black tie one was wrong, so I'm also gonna put that when I send out. Okay, send. Send on
9:32.
You good?
Yeah.
Great. Few housekeeping things. Status.
Dispositional.
Perm turn
Disposition.
kick.
I'm sorry?
Perm turn kick. Perm turn are conditions for kicking.
Alright. Everything right on case, including the circumvention card you just sent.
Yes.
Perfect. Politics, is the argument that a CR or spending bill will just never be passed if the plan happens, or is it just
Delayed.
like it'll be delayed?
Delay.
It'll be delayed?
This
Great.
key.
You have read a card that just says that the CR includes an anomaly for Columbia class funding. What evidence have you read that said that it would not be included if the plan delays it like 2 weeks?
Jeremiah, that's a you question.
Our argument is that this funding is uniquely key because this funding will present
Yeah,
a check
okay.
out for this month.
You have said the CR is
That's
delayed a
internal
couple
evidence.
weeks.
I have to pull up the one and see.
Yeah. What is the impact to delaying funding for Columbia class
Oh.
submarines by 3 weeks?
Because it's about the production of supply chains, i.e. the funding disruptions means that they can't continue.
Okay, where in the card does it say that the delay is bad? The card is just like, there's an anomaly,
The
there's
ships
no
like
would,
growing.
the
deliver the
ships would
subs.
remain unfinished. This anomaly would ensure that ships are not delivered to the fleet.
Yeah.
Okay, that is in a world where the funding doesn't happen at all.
When the funding is delayed, the ship
It-
production is delayed, which is bad for naval
The
readiness.
top of the card says a stopgap. It's not about no funding
The-
ever. It's about a stopgap.
The pick out of sustainable production,
Yep.
what defines sustainable production for woody biomass and what companies are doing that?
There's a 3-step process, but it's mostly water extraction.
Mostly water extraction. What companies are doing these sustainable production? This is
Not our burden.
What?
Possible.
Not
It's-
our,
it's-
not our burden.
it's
You
not-
have made a counterplan that competes off of doing only removing some subsidies. I'd like to know which
It's-
subsidies you keep.
It's about the potential of
Yeah.
maintaining
So-
subsidies. Companies that currently receive subsidies but have unsustainable can shift their practices to start doing sustainable to keep their subsidies. If they don't make that shift, then they lose the money.
So if no companies are doing the sustainable production now, you eliminate all subsidies and then you just add an extra
Our
cap for
argument is that
subsidies?
sustainable-
That seems
they
plain
would
plus
shift.
to
They
me.
would obviously shift.
It's
Well,
like saying that oil
this
and gas companies
seems, it seems plain plus to eliminate all current subsidies and then
No, it's
allow
not
them to get a
eliminating all
different type of
current
subsidy.
subsidies. You're saying you're acting like you've read evidence that says no people ever do sustainable forms of woody biomass.
And you actually read
We've
evidence
read
that says
evidence.
it's possible.
Yeah, we've read evidence,
Okay.
and you've read evidence that says it's possible, and it's happening now in some companies.
Okay, that's fine. The critique, the alternative, what does it entail? How does it work?
Framework. Jump away from your.
So just when half is bad, don't
It's an
wait.
analytical
And also death K, wipe out.
Okay, it's also a death K.
Yeah.
Why? What is the warrant for death K?
Death is better than bondage.
Okay.
If we win that energy
The
plantation.
consult counter plan. How does the federal government determine who they consult with?
They consult with the Black Hive. It's a collection of organizations that are specifically Black scholars, Black activists,
Yeah,
and all code guides.
I understand your definition. You said the government makes that
The Black
decision.
Hive
but
has
who
an organization
consults?
structure of leadership, so
So
Black
they're-
Hive leadership would
Okay.
consult.
What evidence defines this leadership and this organizational structure? You just read a card that's
So
like.
Black Hive
the
is
first
an
part.
organization. I shouldn't have to read a card that says they have a leader.
Okay.
So for real.
10 minutes starting. Can you have Hey, stop prep. 307 used.
Yeah,
So
652.
left. Yep. That's not where the dog saved. Reset.
I love my timer in here. Y'all see a timer over here?
I do not. Shit.
I'm ready whenever.
That will forever be on YouTube now.
Oh, that's. That's weird.
Okay, the order is the environment advantage, the sacrifice stones advantage, TMBI, the consult the Black Hive counterplan, the AAL counterplan, the pick, the politics to sad, and then the critique.
Okay, I don't, then what is ALL, is that NOAA?
Yeah.
Okay, alright, so NOAA pick, then what, politics?
Then the pick, politics, and then the critique.
Yeah, let me just say that.
One second.
Should have it right. Topicality,
Oh, sorry, A spec below T, we have,
We took 5 more seconds.
topicality, A-spec,
consult,
so let me say, topicality, A-spec, consult, NOAA, the other cap, the pick, politics, critique.
yep. Everyone's good?
Is it the order of the duck?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm
Wait,
good.
A spec below T.
Okay, your turn.
Okay, everyone's good? Perfect. 1 and 2 1, all causes are relevant. Every molecule within an atom since we don't know where certain points lie in the 1 and 2 determines the evidence as to with biomass, which does past 10 points. 2 and 2, 1 and 2 appears relevant, doesn't assume interconnectedness, nuclear weapons run away. Climate change, water, food stress. The best data says this is existential now. Anoxide, certain heat, soul deterioration, into certification, or 10 points in review of uninhabitable, the impacts of linear threshold emissions, reduction dramatically decrease the risk of extinction. That's on its 1C3, the affirmative is not necessarily increase renewables, but they're not bad. Riku, it'll 22, the body innovative ways and tales of injustice and regulations, stating wrong, so there's renewable innovativeness and ritual will recover for the innovative service life, the Ukraine, mounting in European, or prototyping global development of horse labor opportunities exist to make low carbon and more just hundreds of years because of red document solution limit that regards fossil systems state of the overall energy use is or is lower, there is no possible input 9% a couple of electricity meta analysis to track reduction of impacts all causes of recycling of the water materials all abuse and toxic recycling means the field over the community in the vast primitive way through reactions that means that legit price of energy get back takes 0.6% of the value of the cost of resources that's going to take 1% 8 or 8 yield of is powerful hydro energy interconnection of resources which down with oversessing plants as a constant control and fluctuation and heat track manufacturers are transferring their production of battery less than 30 every years or expect batteries waste and probably not only is only starting to scale the industry developing solution more of it methods mainstream in the coming decades. 1 to see 4 and 5 deferment is not a carbon price is not responsible. 1 to see evidence says instruments will switch away from biomass as sufficient solid gap. 1 to see 6 biomass is worse than fossil fuels by 3 times. 1 to see 7 data readers deforestation from impact. They drop biodiversity loss as existential. Crop yield medicine, nutrient cycle pollination, all depend on biodiversity loss. Biodiversity called obstacles cause a disease future isn't reaching by the last year so in the future. So no new block answers because it's yours. So 1 to see what are in just raise 2 see time allocation. 1 to see 8 the what biomass is the most important. Other types of renewables can fill in, but biomass cost is warming it down. We solve intermittency. 1 to see 9 reverse causal evidence that revoking subsidies collapse the entire industry. 1 to see 10 out responsive to the gap sacrifice zones. It was dropped. Biomass for green sacrifice zones, biomass lands are classified and predominantly communities of color reduced worse with the run of their emissions buildings, which is 3 times worse than any other energy sector. The government is prioritizing British companies' profits over the lives of black and citizens of Latino people in the South of California for the solvency. The plain solves it. 1. The industry is unprofitable and solely kept afloat via subsidies. 2. Revoking subsidies to legitimize the industry ensures is collapsed. They dropped that the communities are actively fighting against the sacrifice zones and are advocating for the affirmative, which is something control counterplay because it control counterplay is just the FT. We need biomass subsidies to sort of market interpretation, and because of pollution charges, tradable permits, market prediction reductions, and subsidy reductions, status or beginning percent, and because of the within forecasting pollution charges, tradable permits, market prediction reductions, and subsidy reduction, turn one precision authoritative intent and findings, determines the scope of season-long resources only legal matters interpret only or rapid. That's all. Can you get expect two neg bias, atomic experience like oily kind of covenant and matter well advantage areas constraints with environmental impacts, functional indices. Solvency advocates and impact all causes check solution, radical clash, excluding subsidies, exclude those communities as mandating the removal that turns the impact for good enough T causes substance credit expect. We need the resolution specifies use of so that it does not require specificity in reference to a group, Rogers 15 group of things as a whole to not necessarily apply to using the aid about their attacks or crash aid is if they like to reflect the meaning of the SE2 reported to use with obligation which would only like agent involved in examination each and every child totally applied by the attempted at artists week within the universal quantification of its happening pulling and to their most and many is on the plain meaning of the able to perform the duties as a general statement about what's the duties rather than an absolute statement about all of them. Anything else is infinitely aggressive creates an incentive tissue legal civic history just beyond the app which craft that education and kills fairness, cross extraction and generics and something advocates track reasonability that consult counterplan. Perm 2 solves by issuing the consultation if they say yes, it sits in as the counterplan permutation to the counterplan perverse or decombination bad to legitimize delay to the plan is good and the consult can only fair to say a clash. This debate is an instance of consultation because the recards this is black hype. I think the plan is bad, they drop that they think it's good and already advocated for the gaps of the consultation already happened in the past. Sure, it's not certain for counterplans, but it's sort of satisfied for one or should mean response and exceptional circumstances and other possible interpretations that should essentially leave some discretion. Permutation of the plan and consult the black hype on something else Texas and the dog counterplans. It can be textually and functionally forced to remain to opportunity costs and for avoids abuse like links. Last console counterplans are bad. There's an infinite number of agents who it could potentially be consulted, not covered the fact that the counterplan access and consult black habit, no prior line or solvents yet, or who is part of the black habit or how many people to consult kills and clash means system also predict all of those solutions. But so just whereas a prep double line either not applicable or included in the consultation with the black habit, there's always some universalization or tokenization in terms of which it causes anti-black criminal crisis, which means the counterplan links are offense or the counterplan mechanism is impossible and there's no input to consultation, so it doesn't solve the applicant just had any plan inconvenience or backlash like corporation being angry about internalizing costs or paying taxes gets limited to the black habit, magnifies fatigue and disproportionately leaves black women exposed to institutional violence, news builder gets one the black habit doesn't me to it again, and temperance is head 4 923. Temperance policies never recognize that all of the differing never made makes sense more like the optics for religious community but the material and actual difference cannot create change that the point of anti-racist movements and material race right racial inequality results in gaps in income inequality education health housing the same powers that are white people acting opposite across the UK it's just greater policy limit to your opinion and respect and the United States I'll skip that the AAL kind of reject word picks they take out by using the function of the plan is it possible that to garner offense estimating clash reading is an event or solving the empty track permutation both yields that links to their offense permutation and counterplan language specification is planned plus counterplans compute textually and functionally above permutation we do us you do you we shouldn't speak black vernacular but they shouldn't win either the burden of their enemies that they must win the one easy for those AAL is a description of the applicant is in the final legislation it's an action is a clean energy policy not performing words it tells us all it's not measured forced by mass subsidies and they said carbon price which is linked to the said the counterplan fails the counterplan will be translated in case 12 the official documents are written by the US government period always as a British or already in English edition that means that either the counterplan words that image a linguistic modification or where they can't represent the which is the key to solvency language of white least is key to solvency persuasion nation English is key to buying and strength of political capital and lobbying and legalism that helps them work behind reforms institutional details and legal sanctuary energizes and moves to independence and industrial companies bills political vocabulary necessary to train students to resist and militaristic discourse the other counterplan permutation to both permutation the counterplan does not solve any parts of the affirmative it assumes reforestation occurs might solve emissions in 100 years but causes short-term increases which cause runaway climate change faster and no verification of positive reforestation actually occurs as a trap burning upon mass is 3 times worse than coal contested international scientists really doesn't solve matter 2 or biody because it still causes deforestation in the first place the counterplan rates subsidies for wood pellets those are the only subsidies given by the federal government tax the counterplan strategy even if they're sustainable practice developed no one will buy the pellets and drink and burn them because the subsidies are the only reason the industry is cost competitive that's telling them it stops warming less removes carbon storage from forests which is heat sequester more carbon than they just is burned by biomass once you lose says that they would sustainably cut down trees by cutting down trees is our internally the politics system. The plan is popular, pioneer in North 21, but the negative public perception of the biomass or growth of the mass and biomass relations. If you receive negative press will not be sustained stable until the perception of using power to before change biomass is limited domestic public support. Shut down now 50 or 3 400 counties is reading worth of shut down all of these just work for the economy, but growth there's no path to reach the limit in town. A support capacity they 60 to the rush of the home and seven hold the top feet of the commercial business falling back and the children build that even if that is running the obstacles are not allowed. Optimistic can you get impact. Shut down has been impact for 914. There's been a 3 standard shutdowns in our history in the 95, 2013, and 18 around like the right of the right gentlemen they museum from the stars. A small short squeeze out on trips of the 2 parts and using the organization with programs and because we have it usually may say clear. If Democrats in the Senate will vote for it, then Democrats in the House would as well take fence will be fine fully too. And I did someone who may not be the subject of the conversation spending capacity you can imagine to serve within the condition of freeze and defense and no defense, and neither a setting of the plan of field boost or national. The tip has been able to determine fails in the sustainable way, hit 21 of the can have the maritime compass for the execute based on the false from the Thomas conversation gain and maritime. And powers of double-edged sword point of powers to actually create system legal forces are vulnerable to ethics and maintaining access and precise measures to take becoming more constraining or commitment dangerous is easier to deny to gain. Of the season, this exercise that they would say more meaning has an apartment of that China cannot break out of that. A China believes that these whether overs and given every man of disease need not be failed. And eventually continuing resolution will pass for solving the K. Framework. The ballot is a referendum on the hypothetical consequences of the plan. These must be the plan's implementation. There must be an all the costs and sorrows or harms of the decision plan. Including that's obviously one plan is one fair to you, reason one immune the one EC brings the game to the negative, bringing research is shift the next and data. Ensures that any benefit to the game only develop can solve the second clash, comparing opportunity cost rates, argument number of alternative discern defense under the offense and as superior than making their offense part of one education. I bet you it's 3 minutes of discussion of violence and communities, otherwise ignoring the big win, the implications of action to support those groups of good facility discussion that we don't normally have, or if the go to allows it. For imagining the future in terms of action, we ought to take the relevant ethical consequences of that action model without the ever pulsing question to forward rather than to attorney based on what exploitation actually corresponds to is based on hopefully make the winner. And that would rate 100%. The K proper permutation to both and only secret as warming is existential can achieve by necessary to solve the weakness as to there will be no chance of persuading voters to accept changes that were needed to avert catastrophic warming. Absent framing it as existential in the face of climate denial and apathy. Existential framing creates by and I know many of these action bad is bad. It creates a suffering and life is the prerequisite of making any sort of progress. Turn any subsidies for porous biomass or critical black liveness within racial cousin pre or voice 152. Black force and relations are independence and relying on force to continue unpaid by overdressment of these unprecedented black communities with the racial covenant of the racial vegetation around manifest by term of their black elements and the power to sustain human relation to the rise of the curve within what is called urban jargon that advance alternative ways of producing space against and outside of the construction of racial bounds of within the state of December more than the present opportunity for the plantation of ecological conversion of this region and planar because it's a compounded impacts are going biomass if it industry the region of the international plantation of relation the more so that the exploited relation of Europe and the major biomass that are diverted in regulation these plants are related to black immigrants. If you look at a map you go to the same time biomass as the other equal of this reduction living in more one contact pollution relation plantation with fewer resources. Fewer resources to live. Psychoanalysis is found there's no basis for whether or not it's true, which denies the libidinal economy. Humanism is good, you should not reject it because it allows for things like solving climate change, they drop extinction is bad, value to life is good, living is good, and death is not preferable. Also it's bad to foreclose the opportunity to people to live. I'm good for process.
Just a full check, that was the hook evidence or?
Yeah, the pure 422 was the last part of it.
Where is that?
Link term.
Okay, gotcha. Did you read anything under that?
Nope.
I guess the link term, let's talk about it. It says that it's key to black livingness. Why is ending a why is biomass key to black livingness, or what is the argument you're making?
The pure FOI evidence is pretty hyper-specific that says that the black commons have what Winston describes as sort of black geographies. It's an alternative ways of knowing, relating to space, especially
I guess like black people currently produce biomass. The AFF makes it so that they can't do that. Why is this a link term?
I fully disagree. It's European and British companies that are developing biomass within the US. It is not the actual black people. It's the black people living near the plants that are suffering.
Okay.
Because it's things like VCOs, nitrous oxide, being released into the plants.
There was some like English is key to legalism. Was there evidence tied to that? Or
No.
what? Okay. And then the top argument of biomass content, I couldn't really flow that. What was the top
Can you
argument?
send us the text of the perms? Because I'm assuming that's what it was.
It was just perm to both perm to the counterplant were the two perms.
And then what was the first policy deficit?
Assumes reforestation occurs, doesn't solve emissions in the short term because it causes, 1, destroys forests, which releases sequestered carbon. 2, might solve climate change in the long term, but that causes short-term runaway climate change.
Why is I guess the AFF also assumes that reforestation occurs
No,
because you
we
read
don't. We
evidence
say
that
proforestation, which is preventing destroying the forest.
What's
We
the
have said
distinction between
proforestation is key. Yeah, proforestation is not cutting down the forest in the first place.
does the AFF
It's
defend that
preventing
proforestation occurs?
Yeah,
What piece of
you
causal
prevent-
evidence? Can you
Fine.
what piece of causal
Limber
evidence do you
22.
says that ending subsidies causes proforestation?
Bloomer 22.
In the what do you see?
Yeah, the card
No.
tag proforestation is
I know
key
it's
to
tagged that, but
reversing
there's no one. Read me a line of evidence that says subsidies key to proforestation.
I think every part of the 1AC is like it
Read
prevents
me a line
destroying
then.
the forest.
Read me a line that says subsidies key to proforestation.
Well, the argument is that we don't cut down trees.
I know what your
Which
argument is.
The,
I know
the
your
thesis of proforestation is trees don't get cut down anymore at the
Who
rate they're cut down.
replants the trees that were cut down?
We don't need to
That's
replant
not
trees.
proforestation.
Then
That's
why do you cause
reforestation.
proforestation?
That's not what proforestation is.
You are mis-
Proforestation is
yeah.
not cutting down the trees.
So
which is what
proforestation
AFF
is
does.
Kansas HW being like trees good?
Okay, we're gonna clear this up. Reforestation is where I go out and I plant like 1 million trees, and that takes 40 years for a tree to grow to create a carbon sink. Proforestation is literally saying you can't cut these trees down anymore. The AFF said you can't cut these trees down anymore for wood biomass.
How does the AFF resolve the fact that trees are missing because of like biomass subsidies now?
That's irrelevant to the point. The
Why is that
argument is that it
irrelevant?
stops future trees from being cut down, which releases carbon storage
When-
and also stores future carbon. That's the argument that perforestation is making.
Wait,
Is that
so-
we have trees now, we have a big forest, that has a bunch of carbon stored and stores more carbon in the future. If we cut those trees down, all that carbon goes out.
932.
932 reasons to reject the team.
For this word hits and consult, I believe that was it.
Consult's a reason to reject the team.
Yeah.
Why?
Just
Yeah, that was it. Oh yeah.
Alright, stop at 840.
It's 835.
I go. Don't know you guys get it.
It's the order while we're waiting.
Order biomass counter plan, NOMO counter plan, this end. Can I get the stand?
So you wanna try to stand and not go over there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll try it on both tables, see if it works.
She had it on both tables.
That's
We'll try 3 tables.
Let me readjust. And tell me
I got it. That's close.
Just now open your head.
You want to use this instead? The whole laptop thing's scary.
What's that?
scary 'cause
Did the laptop stand fall or am I just like?
No.
Oh, I thought it fell again. I was like, what?
Yeah.
This, we forgot our stand, so this is GS's stand.
Oh, okay.
So like, I guess they're just, I guess they gave us the book.
Yeah.
Congrats on the NEG.
Thank you. Congrats as well.
Yeah.
Because you all are growing correct.
Yes.
Yeah, awesome. This is y'all's both first UDT, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. That's awesome. Congrats.
Okay. Is anyone not ready? Yeah. It's a very bad look. We're according to the 3 to 1 in the after the block. It's biomass or plastic capital. It's also 100% the owner by establishing a federal carbon tax, but creates an exemption for mitigation measures that include carbon debt. The 1AC punishes mitigation strategies like biomass that produces some carbon dioxide in the air, will reduce much more carbon dioxide. Given some time, woody biomass solves climate change. They dropped a card that says so by capturing carbon better than any market-driven mechanism, creating a net negative emissions powerhouse. Efficiency framing is only logical if the counterplan is linear. Then solving climate change better should be a solvency deficit. Woody biomass solves climate change. They dropped the card and the 1AC by capturing. It's the only natural offset that removes carbon dioxide in the air for an infinite period of time. It's the most abundant energy source in the world. Pellets sequester negative emissions in rapid rate. That's a low evidence. They dropped it too. Solvency deficits. All other renewables failed. They dropped this. The 1AC's misclarification of what we transition to is going to be their downside. We obviously transitioned to renewables, but we've impact turned it. The sun doesn't always shine. The wind doesn't always blow. Droughts prevent sustainable hydro. Geothermal is location dependent. All of these were jobs, but trees are the only sustainable technology because trees will always be there too. It's fossil fuels. Woody biomass is the only way to replace fossil fuels and solve climate change. This is turns their second advantage because fossil fuels also cause destruction for black communities, but it's also dependent on government spending. The Lynn evidence says extraction companies go bankrupt if you cut their quote subsidies, which proves the permutation is incoherent. The permutation severance. They establish a federal punishing scheme. Any company that does woody biomass pellets are obviously deleted from the 1AC. AFF includes a tax on carbon dioxide. UNC FCC 14 including consumption charge to limit taxes on water, polluting product tax or particulate emissions and nitrogen oxides. Woody biomass solves climate change. It replaces fossil fuels, but it's dependent on government spending. The AFF destroys it. This land 24. Biomass which refers to organic material generated through photosynthesis, firecraft, rich energy plants. A major biomass resource and renewable resources substitute for non-renewable energy, effectively reduce greenhouse gas emissions, reduce dependence on fossil fuels, renewable resources coupled with widespread distribution of biomass as interest, government subsidies crucial to promoting biomass use, including utilization, self-power generation recommendation, government tools enhancing subsidies, most cost-effective biomass utilization support specific biomass industry. They see permutation due to the counterplan. Didn't catch a warrant for why. Would one, we compete off function, the affirmative world punishes woody biomass, the negative world rewards it if it's sustainable. Two, we compete off text, the counterplan creates a unique exemption not found in the 1AC. Now, exemptions excludes them. That's Oxford no date. Exceptions process specific taxes. Now, I'm not going to read the next two cards because it's obvious we have a competition with them. Now, the plan is not a pick or it's not plan plus or pick. If they try to cross apply the two, they drop the plan text trick that solves the app. The 1AC bans all woody biomass subsidies, but the counterplan bans woody biomass pellets. We also ban the companies themselves, which is distinct and germane to the plan. The net benefit is offshoring. Sacrifice Jones was not dropped. We solved those by banning the companies themselves. If we ban the companies themselves and not the production or the method of the company that prevents them from offshoring other subsidies like the UK, which is a solvency deficit, independent takeout to the 1AC, they say reforestation. No card, no explanation. You should strike it off the flow. But they also drop that we do solve short-term climate change in the short term. That's above. They're worse for short-term climate change because of fossil fuel, and they say subsidies are the only way it's cost competitive. That proves competition. No. Permutation fails, 3 net benefits, 1 black erasure decide not only works when I speak it, the very nature of English mandates form assimilation. Black and native bodies for sure from the culture and made to learn the colonized language. That means the normalization with English trades off remembering history of past culture and noble sauces by creating a language that avoids the punishment of AAV and code switching. 2's performative competition. We have imagined the end of the English language while they have endorsed the plan tests in the English language. English language performative competition outweighs because performance determines functions. You can't change the way the 1AC was presented. If we went performative competition, then permutations are a negative argument. They can see it the Smith evidence. Y'all gotta flip the script to make affirmative team side. The burner adrenal as a form of double consciousness. 3 is the clean energy dissent. They said the word we didn't. The term clean energy is racist because it applies certain forms of energy sources are dirty or inferior. No defense to it means no mode. It's 100% this framing stigmatizes environmental practice of the global south and reinforce systematic inequality. The rhetoric of clean is a erasure of black and brown bodies that they had to sacrifice for the production. The only defense to clean energy was maybe you did it too. 1, I don't think so. 2, we're black. Our impact is racism and black people can't be racist to themselves. Counter interpretation. Counterpoints must be textually, philosophically, or performally competitive. 1 is best for clash. Debate about rhetoric is pedagogically useful. Think about BLM protesters talk about the definition of ACAP, but wait for CSU. Debate about black dialect and chord and the octaves and the NDT. Number debates are no different than AFF advantages that are based on credibility or simulation. You've already been ready for a debate about rhetoric. AFF choice solves this at the end. They sent an extra card that says the threat of climate change produces AFF solvency. So if they can get offense on rhetoric, we can get offense on rhetoric. 2, black affairs is good society has overcrowded black people as super aggressive, which means we have to work twice as hard to get to the same position as non-black people. You should use this thought to overcorrect. 3, philosophical competition. If we have to dissent that it's not arbitrary, look at scripture. Anyone philosophical competitive counterpoints and philosophical incompatible should not be simultaneously adopted. Negatively translate philosophical differences without meaningful disadvantage. Never for standard without requiring disadvantage will permit arbitrary philosophical distinction. Negatively demonstrate philosophical disadvantage. There's a double consciousness dissent dropped from the Smith evidence. Black people will always have to perfectly interpret arguments about the colonized language, but non-black people will never have to interpret arguments in AAB. This is an anti-black double standard that causes black bodies to deem linguistical practices as inferior, which causes internal criminalization and black self-hatred. Even with a competition debate, no one competes. 1, we're textually functionally competitive. 8, language is functional language. 4, language is functional language. Because of the meaning it makes vocabulary utilize makes specific meanings. Language is a semiotic process to make the meaning. B, Cartesian dissent. Assuming textual competition is insufficient, recreates racism. The Marxist 1, hardening the process of colonization, instrumentality that transforms unconnectability of the world picture, reducing a disposable commodity. 4, foundation inquiry and the oblivion and streamline this, people attempt to offer positions engaging in the high theory defense to speak to the war numbers, resist by taking real political action, the primary rethinking of itself, psychological, socio-political insights like the human being. They say deference bad. This is on the other complaint, they say deference bad. I know they're gonna try to cross-apply. One, our argument is not vote for me because I'm black. Our argument is that your language is bad. Two, this contradicts their whole second advantage. Their whole second advantage is that we're good white people because we consulted black people. So if they say deference bad, then obviously very negative on perception. They say commodification. One, the English language was already co-opted language. It was stolen from black and brown bodies during the colonization of Native Americans. Two, there's a vicious mockery this had. White people like y'all poorly co-opting AAP. It's how niggas get rich in the 21st century. Everyone from Kai to Duke to drag queens like RuPaul make hella bank from the misappropriation of words like Riz, Gat, and Slay. They say English is key to legalism. No card for this, strike off your flow. But you also said auto translation, which proves it's not key to legalism. Now, auto translation proper. One, white people should learn to understand NOMO. Policymakers translate other languages all the time. The capital versus confrontation with black subjects. Two, fiat solves. Three, auto translation. Zero solvency deficits. As the mandated plan, and not only goes back to English, but it proves functional competition because you have to wait for NOMO to be translated. And they said in cross-sex that the one you see was the media should means must. It requires immediate effect that's shall and therefore should means a predicative and should means the same as what the phrase denotes made effective immediacy. Decide. Sierra will pass job, Trump and Johnson, or play Republican arm to overcome status quo hesitation, but razor-thin margins require maintaining lockstep and focus as properly. Johnson's job is contingent on maintaining Trump support. Anything else risks losing the unshakable influences of Trump House of Congress that allowed Johnson to keep his spot in the first place. It will be successful pass now, but the margins are incredibly tight. That's Hubbard's. No, Republicans are pursuing stop yet. No, don't make fun of looking for a shower. No, continue Republican resolution. Johnson expecting to fund it. Current levels, only conservatives will love this bill. Republicans facing pressure to support for Democrats. Johnson can get through the measure of the White House. Where's the margins claim to be seen? This answers dear unique this claim because the post states it by two and assumes Trump's new speech. Now the link debate they dropped. The plan is mostly unpopular. It's Trump's lifeline. The hell ever since the destruction of woody biomass causes huge fights. As Trump says, he's been a staunch defender of activists that destroys the environment. Remember, his slogan is drill, baby, drill. Their link evidence does not account for Trump. Your card says Congress doesn't think it pollutes and obviously in favor of subsidies. That's the whole one you see. We're going to insert the Bloomberg and Red. They do not get any new answers to this because we're conceding their evidence that says Congress does not think this is a threat. Their first card runs contrary to the whole AFF. Their whole AFF says biomass is unpopular subsidies. This is why we imported from the EU and the UK because it's popular. Now, the dissatisfied ways matter to strong naval readiness is necessary to deter escalation in every threat. Iran, China, and Russia immediately go nuclear after the strong U.S. naval force that's costly. Their defense does not assume any of the countries we named, so this is just your job impact. They also sent it after the blog, so you should reject the team for racism because we don't have time to do all that bullshit. Defense is assumed 2025 escalation is prime deterrence to that's arrow 25 Middle East China reaction profile, changing Asia, China, the primacy flashes in South China, Taiwan, Korea look more precautions, Ukraine, third to stop water confrontation, China, and Russia, and North Korea changing orders, underpinned by U.S. power, cut the card of U.S. power. Lastly, defense is assumed the Columbia-based subsets, Ever 24, the Columbia-based submarine program, represents significantly for the deterrence capabilities in Columbia cast is the decades to meet today's humanities are still here, more resilient, more capable than the predecessors. Cross.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Want to start on the shutdown dissad. Why are Senate Democrats supporting a continuing resolution, but House Democrats will inevitably not?
Our argument is that one is prone to co-option, one is not, or cooperation, one is not.
Why do the senators cooperate, but Democrats
Or like
and House don't?
what is like our argument is that Trump can strong arm some Democrats to maintain the popularity of the bill, and you have not read evidence saying that's not true.
Why can they not do that post-plan in the House?
Because no, our argument is about Republicans. Your argument is about Democrats, which is the fundamental mismatch. Our argument is that Republicans see the ad and they backlash against Johnson because it goes contrary to drill baby drill. Johnson's whole thing is a
I get
so
that
they
one
backlash.
story. Why would Democrats then not vote for a continuing resolution, even if some Republicans in the HFC don't?
Well, because the Democrats only follow what the Republicans do. So if the Republicans dislike the bill, then the Democrats are going to.
The Democrats are following the House Freedom Caucus?
Well, no. Our argument is one of cooperation. Democrats only support it insofar as they can be cooperative with
Johnson
Republicans,
wants a
but they
continuing
don't-
resolution. Does his opinion change, or is it just the House Freedom Caucus from the president?
Trump's opinion changes.
And so every Republican just flips on a continuing resolution while the Republicans control
Our
both
argument is that
chambers?
Trump can. Our argument is that we have evidence. You don't, even though you might be rhetorically
disagree.
persuasive. Is that Trump motivates enough Republicans to disbar enough Democrats from cooperating. The only reason Democrats are supporting things now is because of perceived bipartisanship. What use is that bipartisanship if some Republicans don't even agree?
the first counterplan, how do wood pellets sequester carbon when we burn them for energy?
Our argument is that the 3-step process that you conceded solves all of these. There's a card that specifically says it produces little to no extractive emissions if you do it through the wood, the water extraction process.
I understand that argument. You said wood pellets sequester carbon. We then burn that for energy. Why does that not release the carbon back into the atmosphere?
Our argument is if you do it through a sustainable means, then yes, it will burn some emissions, but that emissions is, quote, next to nothing.
How do you make it sustainable?
I'll just like go through the 3-prong system. Okay. 3-prong system. 1 is water extraction. 2 is reducing the negative emission or the negative elements of the wood, and then 3 is shrinking it.
Okay. Okay. Why does the counterplan, which destroys trees for biomass, help them more than the AFF? I'm confused by that argument.
Offshoring.
What do you mean?
We don't think you reduce any forms of wood because they will just get the money from somewhere else. You and government subsidies. They'll just get the subsidies from the UK.
Did you read a card for that?
Yes. Case.
You sent it?
I don't trust your stances. I'll run back over here. Order is the Black Hive kind of plan, the Novo kind of plan, just entering theory, and then the K, and then case. Good.
I need to download it, sorry.
Okay.
Okay, I'm good. Cool.
What's up for both Kansas? Sure.
On the Black Hive counterplan gets you the purpose of test competition. There's no offense, but I'll answer consult very here. In Black consultation, counterplans are good. One is a Black erasure disc at the refusal to acknowledge Black one in the 1AC is an independent reason to reject the team. They have performed an active erasure that naturalizes forms of structural antagonisms within the academy that renders common activism of Black women invisible. They could have studied Jacqueline Patterson, the Green Girl, or Bunny Stars, but they didn't. It's not an accident. It's relation. It's erasure too. It's real world. The counterplan allows us to learn about environmental policy decision-making process that affect differently impacted EJ communities. Such a core question on the topic. 3, whiteness deploys theory violations and competition is the means to criminalize the Black dresser, replacing the game so this anti-Black double standard that undermines the ways that double consciousness builds kinship. Briefly 13. Theory of double consciousness is a way to understand the theory of double consciousness.
what we said.
Do you guys want to wait until I send this new card out?
Yes.
I got it.
Page 28.
Once I get the card, I'll start. Alright, I got the card. few seconds. Attaching the cards. Hi. 6 minutes, not 9 minutes. Okay. Order is the environment advantage. Sacrifice stones advantage. The biomass counter plan, or what we call the pick in the 2AC. The NOMO counter plan. The consult black hives counter plan. The shutdown percent. Sherry, you good? Okay. Becky, all good?
War because of the extinction of nocturnal heat, soil deterioration, certification, paperwork, the earth, and then happen the impacts linear, each special mission, run the indicators of the risk of extinction as aligned as other countries are relevant, specific internal links, environmental protection in the US, or what we are going for. We have said that it is 3 times worse than fossil fuels, and only the emissions that are coming from biomass, no thermostat, in order to heat alone, causes extinction, drop the people points and other max extinction before that happened, not soil deterioration, etc. Collapse society, makes cytol unrest, which causes war, etc. That causes extinction. Before that, coral is just heat alone, causes extinction is irrelevant. Those above can see no matter not going for renewables, bad is irrelevant. Our internal links are based on biomass alone being bad, which is 3.1 AC Sturman and North saying that biomass is worse than fossil fuels. Even if that is the alternative solution to reverse the problem, mass deforestation, drop kids renewables or not, since finding become sustainable practices are going back. If other ecosystem destroyed are working to maintain those environments magnified by recycling habits means that no more technology needs to be restricted. That's where guys solve even if they win that we have to cite a renewable, we have to defend fossil fuels are relevant, that's above because they are. Woody biomass is 3 times wood. Woody biomass is not a renewable, it's intentionally intended to ignore emissions reduction. Then kind of necessary to stop boiling the sermon to answer the new evidence from 2012 does assume every new study from the last decade fossil fuels are inevitable. But we have read that woody biomass is 3 times wood, which means we get the first enough forming to solve our impacts. Yes, subsidies are key, drop point C, north unrated to ability to keep the interest price mandated by subsidies, anything else. This nonsense even they've outlined energy goals by other states. It's about buy subsidies, the European Union is the only one who buys it, and from the US tech instance. Drop this impact that they've not had a deficit to it other than just asserting that they've read cards to it. Biomass creates tax on its own, biomass plants are cited. They predominantly black and ingredients of color who disproportionately bear the brunt of their emissions, including which is 3 times worse than the energy sector. The government is far trades greatest. Companies profits over the lives of black and Latino people in the South. In California, they're dropping this advantage because when any risk that the counterplans do not solve the specific advantage to reason you vote AFF because it is a prior thing about to be resolved, dropping the K, the free out. That it is a priority to talk about these discussions to be able to solve the instances of black violence counterplan. Permutation due to the caterpillar capital of potentially functionally competitive scheme of fairness, class maximize distinction, and ensures equitable distribution of just like deficits and net benefits draw from the big kind of we get that's the only competition argument in the 2 is that exemptions exclude uniform tax. The app is not a carbon tax or price or anything in between, which means this is irrelevant. They've never called this as eliminating subsidies requires a tax or anything on it. They actually say subsidies, which the caterpillar does as well. Caterpillar tax is remove subsidies for wood pallets, but provided zero evidence that there are subsidies beyond that. That's tragic because they have conceded the 2AC argument that those are the only subsidies that exist between functionally caterpillar is the same as a plan or a best plan plus creating incentive while preventing every other subsidy exists for woody biomass, which is a voter for fairness because people escape. So 1AC means that we have to read the offense against ourselves. The counterplan assumes reforestation occurs so much, might solve some emissions in 100 years, but short-term increase causes short-term increase, but causes runaway climate change. The counterplan still lots of trees we cut down, drop the index in the 1C Leo that said that they would sustainably cut down trees, but cutting down trees is our internal link to solving one of the entirety of 2AC process. Where I looked at you and repeated the same phrase that the afforestation is key like 5 freaking times. Drop no verification process if reforestation actually occurs. It's a trap. Means biomass can continue unabated. Zero counterplans. Chance of solving renewables are relevant. Going to win a spillover transition argument, which was above in case. Can't help advantage too, but they made the companies that exist now. It's relevant because the plants will still be cited to build a black community without their desire, and the resources will be done. They're to create biomass waste. It still exists no matter how sustainable the question is, which makes violence and noble stopping. And a priori no. Her do we do us, you do you, drop the us, we as white people don't speak and will speak black vernacular, but them doing so is a wing condition today. That's the burden of rejoinder, which means they must prove the reading of the 1AC precludes. The counterplan is a way of describing the app, it's not perms or not a NEG argument there. I tested that the NEG arguments are credited with the 1AC, they're not. Don't warn them for saying the plane is good, drop the plane. Isn't the final legislation in this act? It's a clean energy policy for reading the words of the plane text, solves all their offense 2AC and 8C. Instead, the counterplan will be translated before implemented, which means the permutation is the same function. As the counterplan accesses all of their understanding of African American language, understanding of the language being good, but it turns their images mockery to sad because it prevents white people from directly using language or linguistic modification that the law of the counterplan only occurs in this instance. The government will deny all and in all other instances for the 2 and C framework. It says it always relies on standard American English. Counterplans must be technically functionally competitive, speed of fairness, and after maximizing distinction ensures equitable distribution and deficit advantage to drop their offense. Counterplans are not functionally competitive, results in the same action as the plane. It's also not those solving competitive, it's not those solving disadvantage. To the permutation, textual alone is bad. One encourages the worst graph course of aggressive semantic distinction like replacing odd with short or reading the plane in a different language results in bad results in F. That's unpredictability, it's anti-educational. Second, still logical way the plan becomes not competitive. Third, function matters than 2 because the counterclaim includes the function of the playing cake. This proof, yeah. More second about temporal competition in the context of debate. Clean energy decided wrong. It's good. Demons would biomass LP about calling biomass and not clean even as black people or African American language, which is why black communities are advocating for the which was right. Anything else? Their tradition encourages the race to the margin with process counterarts that are functionally not in but not necessarily competitive, and the philosophy that's distinct. Black Hawk consult. Don't reject the team. The one seats should not be held to burden side to certain individuals or groups. Independently, the aggressive standard can change every round that shifts. The burden for the athletes' authenticity testing results in teams going out of the way to include random racial groups and versus certain teams as worse grades of testing of you. Have you read enough black authors? We are not going for theories of some research of the team. Shut down. Shut down now. Get my country supporters in the Senate. It's key and on our board. They want to shut down over President Trump. He can't get away with it. Does. It's cover. James want to shut down me. 3 former Trump. And that's the one in Congress. I'm never found never drop the change of the shutdown to 0 and shutdown us. And take a trigger by hardliners who obviously better than Trump. They pull the line on the likely the shutdown has innovated it actually increased the for a fight of the damn side. I've only been anti-shutdown. Feel voting for a bill. The last time the dying Republicans vote. I'm looting key agencies of the movie last week. Yes, shutdown. I'll shoot. 213 decided to vote a shutdown on real Republicans. Right out to themselves. Every once in a while. The Congress otherwise seems just the White House and payment more money appropriated to include Trump. They said that the funds up in the agencies who don't try to dismantle. Don't reject the team for the impact defense. No warrant in the 2AC in the 2 and C4 safety cards made 2 ACs about the issue. Read the cards and then promptly right after. Ethan read them off my computer. It's not my bad. The problem that Ethan forgot to pull our impact defense file. Native ill deterrence fails is unstable. Massive alternative causes like the inability to actually deter China's navy. That is huge compared to ours. Lack of troop readiness, etc. Overwhelms about that. We have a couple of submarines that span who that matters because even if they read a card from the 2025 describing the specific Columbia class submarines, the impact cards from 2016 that says that native readiness is good and deterrence is good. H280 and hard to translate my naval deterrence and who's 21 China. The best system has towards the cruise missile, only ballistic missile, make up transit. It says aerodynamic capabilities, official gas power to maintain command. Is too little, too late. U.S. allies carrying capacity for disability. The real, the training, the pair for logistics, the 11 colonial, the internal force structure, and 7 to break border, pharmacy, policy, and Chinese, the water close to China. Again, said the terms drop that the CR will not really pass. They said it just delays a few weeks. No card in the one. Like right in the block or the one, and he says that the delay will cause the collapse. They were already so subs still get delivered on time, just by the end of the year, maybe 3 weeks later, which is able to solve the terms into zeros and distance.
Can you send out the
Yeah, I realized I did not copy paste that stuff. So let me do that.
We'll start up in this one.
Yep. Other Navy card. But I typed named it Navy card. Could have clicked to copy. Okay. Sent.
Oh yeah, alright.
828.
reasons to reject the team.
What is like the biomass?
We would just like it's a reason to reject the argument if we win as a club.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like if you win the category of the state, it's not the permutation, so we reject the argument. It's quite close.
Oh,
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
I didn't see the districts, were you there?
I was at the NEG, so I was kind of sectioned off into building 2, because we didn't have a team to compete with, so we at the MAC.
Some backgrounds, but I'm studying, I was mostly in the district.
Yeah, I got the
So there were
judge,
no reasons to reject the team?
I judged Houston round
Which one?
7.
No reason to reject it.
So good. It was wild.
Was it Quran and Street Pod?
Yeah, they were fun. They're an impressive bunch.
Yeah. I wish we'd gotten the partnerships fixed at the beginning of the year. I was like, that
Yeah,
caused a little chaos late, but.
yeah. You should get the full Dallas Sherry experience. Dallas is judging the next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Pretty fun.
Thank you so much.
Yep, no problem. Bye.
Like,
This one.
let's just put them all down. Is there anything?
I speak way better than
okay. Ooh, that doesn't look good.
Then wait, then you first, my bad.
No, keep it up. I just. Okay. Order number. It's not death. It's my inability to measure anything.
You would think your laptop was off that's scaring me that the laptop is like wiggling up the
Fair
top
enough.
while you're fixing that.
Why?
It's so the back. Do you see the one closest to the external monitor?
There you go.
Oh, okay, there we go. There
You
we
know
go.
what? You don't get a height and stand.
That was much better.
That makes me a little less scared about.
Yeah, dude, I do the same thing. I have like a super fear of like technologies on the edge and like waters on the edge.
My,
and stuff on the edge.
my laptop fell off of the stand at Georgetown, and I'm like petrified every time I stand up to the stand. I like push down on it to make sure it's not gonna fall.
All right, no. Cheryl, with this argument started at the top of your RD, the words philosophical competition was not uttered by the money arts in the Chandler evidence conceded counterpoints can't be philosophical competitive. It would be totally fair and educational for them to debate as the Chandler evidence spells out perfectly the bright line for philosophical competition. It's time to get this added to performance, and we have multiple. Now, I'm gonna teach us some debate where Steve Matsuko wrote the dictionary how counterpoints can be competitive. These include textual, functional, and philosophical competition. This is where we get philosophically competitive alternatives like reject the team. Now, the only reason why policy debates forgets about philosophical competition and forgets about these standards of competition. It's the only standard of competition that disproportionately benefits K teams that we are philosophically compatible. They conceded the overview. Noble saw 100% of the 1AC. We feel out the process of 1AC obviously through the linguistics. Noble, they saw the AFF conceded. They have zero defensive English or the imagination of it. They lost sense debate where their best argument was, we know English is bad, but still vote for us for some sort of fucking reason. The English language was built by white people for white people. The black racial dissent outweighs. Drop the black racial dissent. English language was born from the death of the slave, and you forcing us into the language of the colonizers made this form of civilization. They drop normalization with English traits off for remembering history of oppressed culture. There is no black language. We can only build communication on white signifiers. No most values and laws for creation of black language that avoids the punishment of black expression that deviates from the norm, like criminalization, AV, signifier, code switching. Now, permutation to each links one defense. They dropped the English language was already a co-opted language, so there's no net benefit. It's not unique to white people doing TikTok trends, adopting about saying or rapping Drake lyrics proves their offense is inevitable. So it's try or die for the spirit of Nova, but two, they turned it. They mishandled the vicious mockery. They said permutation, you do you means no one doesn't catch on, but we need Nova to spread like wildfire. White people like y'all poorly co-opting AVs. How niggas get rich in the 21st century. They dropped 3 examples from Kai to Duke to drag kings like RuPaul, make hella bank from the misappropriation of words like Riz, Gad, and say, which means the plan's implementation. This indicts their plan's implementation, the way they function through the permutation. 3, they said no words are performed in competition. This is where you hold the line, Sherry. We have imagined the English, we have imagined the end of the plan test in English language, while they have endorsed the plan test in the English language. It's totally distinct. Performance determines function. So our forms of competition outweigh. You can't change the way the one was presented on competition debate. Counter-interpretation calculus must be textually, functionally, or performally competitive. We have turned every single standard. If they just reread blocks back at us, they can see it is best for clash. Our clash is good clash. Debates about rhetoric is pedagogically valuable. They drop examples of BLM protesters, talk about the definition of ACAP, or debating examples like Wait for CSU and the NDT and the Octos, talk about Black dialect and core. Those debates are pedagogically valuable because it teaches us how rhetoric shapes reality, how language is kept for anti-black suppression. No debates are no different than AFF that are based on credibility or articulate, so should have already been ready for a debate about rhetoric. They say infinite regress. Infinite regress is good. We should encourage the best research practice of the one to see because they get infinite prep time. They did a 9-minute speech. Don't want to reduce it down to a 4-second play test. Now, the translation debate is their only out, and it's decisively -1. They considered the auto translation proves functional competition because you would have to wait for the people in Congress to translate the person in normal. And they did not read card 0 that says the one to see wasn't immediate, which proves the counterclaim isn't immediate, but the app is. They conceded translation was good because Congress should be forced to learn normal. They dropped this twice. The app has to be immediate. They said that in cross-text and the card that they dropped. So any new 2-hour space should be stricken off the flow. They say translation before implementation. This is irrelevant too. You said rhetoric mattered when you said common threads are good, so I don't want to hear this argument. They say semantics. We've turned this. Semantic distinctions are good. It's in the mindset evidence. Assuming textual competition is insufficient recreates racism by failing to disrupt ontological foundation of racial hierarchy and allowing dominant linguistical narrative to go untied. This is very clear. When they can read a card and want to see that says climate threat construction good, but when we get offense off their reps, it's called cheating. They say not functional. We turn that above down. For them to win this debate, they need a brand new 2-AR that's totally separate from the 1-AR. Judge instruction during the 2-AR. Check the flows and physically draw a line from the 1-AR to the 2-AR. See if their explanation of an argument has changed. If so, then you should strike it off the flow. They say unpredictable in education. They say unpredictability in education. No warrant, no card, no warrant. But they also consider our offense outweighs extend black unfairness. Good. They dropped this. The foundation of policy debates were unfair for black bodies from creation of parallel to the closing UDO. Society has overcoded black people as stupid and aggressive, which means we have to work twice as hard to get same position, not black people. They conceded uniqueness. Debate is getting gentrified in real time. Black people are going at an all-time high. So use this ballot to disrupt the fairness paradox and allow for us to be black unfair. We're not asking you to evaluate arguments fairly. We're asking you to evaluate arguments unfairly, which means even if we get cranked on the line by line, you should still vote arbitrarily negative because they conceded black unfairness. Good. Every single time they say fairness, every single time they say education, every single time they say predictability. Remember, black unfairness was dropped and there's no new 2-hour explanation. Now, NOMO competes on all 3 levels. 1 is functional competition. We did that above with the translation. 2, textual competition. NOMO endorses a different language of the plan text. They conceded 2 parts. It says language is functional. Even a single word determines functions, and we know this in real life. We know this to be true. Imagine the difference between a white person calling someone black and calling someone blacks. These 2 things are totally distinct. One is a slur and one isn't. Lastly, they dropped the Reed Brinkley evidence. They gave no permutation or competition arguments. Extend Reed Brinkley. Whiteness deployed theory arguments about theory or competition as a double standard that criminalized the black church while praising the white gangster. We intentionally sent it and the 1-AR on the flow. They wouldn't check, so they just dropped that they get no competition arguments. They get no theory arguments. Read the card. It's fucking fucking fire. When gangster engages in tricks, they're promoted as crafty, sire, witty. But when black bodies deploy K tricks, they suddenly become cheating, unacceptable, and are presented as, quote, barriers to a fair game. This is how white people can read E-prom, but we can't read Nomo. This is an anti-black double standard that punishes the black gangster while rewarding the black trickster. Now, the last argument, okay, I have 42 seconds, and I'm not going to give them enough prayer time. So one, the only argument is auto translation, but one, they dropped this proves from competition. There's just no offense. What is the fucking offense here? Education was turned by black unfairness. Predictability was turned by black unfairness, and the philosophical competition proves we're not unpredictable. They fucking reread blocks on us.
Commodification stuff.
Yeah, we turn commodification good because of the vicious mockery this has recall gets like.
Doesn't cause racist margins.
I mean, fucking,
Keep out of
our shit is more predictable.
Keep out of the other kind of
yeah,
things.
good stuff.
It's just one second.
They said some fiat good nonsense. One, no argument, no more, no offense, and we also fiat through the process of no. So any of the fiat good stuff. Oh, alright, yes.
Okay, 52 seconds.
You have actually 48 seconds. Just sit hard.
Show us what you got.
It's the environment advantage and then the counterfeit. Okay, everyone's good? Okay.
They dropped the F is a good idea, climate change is existential, it's coming in the short term, and the affirmative is certainly able to solve it, and the affirmative is a response to demands of black and indigenous and Latino communities who are advocating for the plan because they are suffering from woody biomass production. All of that is often, all of that proves that the counterplan is not a description of why anything about the plan text or why the affirmative is bad, and proves that you should evaluate the permutation against the critique, the K. Permutation, not the K. Permutation, we do us, you do you. There's not a deficit to this argument that was made in the 2NC, but they dropped all of our offense. We, as white people, should not speak black vernacular. It is a form of commodification. And the Tunar agreed with us and gave examples of why it is bad for white people to do so. And the Tunar gave examples of being commodified by people like RuPaul for profit. Dropped the 2EC card that says that the government will translate AEL to standard American English before it's implemented in a new policy, which proves that SAE, to some degree, is inevitable. So all of the offense at the top of the 2NR about why NOMO is good is not a reason of why the plan or permutation is bad, because to some degree that is inevitable if the government is always going to try to reinterpret the language that black people use to implement it into policy, and there's already a form of code switching which is inevitable for their own arguments. But the permutation means that we as white people and you as a white judge do not need to perform AEL, but can recognize its legitimacy for black people to be used with it, which solves all of their offense. The majority of the 2NR offense at the top is just descriptions of why using AEL is good. It's not a reason that the permutation is bad, because the permutation does not foreclose using AEL. It just says that the negative should not be rewarded for doing that because it is not a competitive option with the affirmative. But them using AEL is not a win condition. They give the burden of rejoinder dropped, which means that they must prove the reading of the 1AC precludes the counterplan as a way of describing the affirmative. It is certainly not. That takes up the Reed Brinkley evidence. Permutations are not a neg argument. They are a test of whether or not the negative arguments are competitive with the 1AC, which they conceded they're not for the fact that they have not contested a single argument about why the 1AC is a bad idea, and they've agreed that the advantages are good and that the plan should be implemented. You should not reward them for saying that the plan, if the affirmative is a good idea, because it steals all of our assumptions and makes us intimate ourselves. But the permutation solves their overview, does not force them to use language of the colonizer, but it's not a reason they should win for saying the app is good. Drop the plan is not the final legislation in this action. It's a clean energy policy, not the reading of the words in the plain text. It's also all of their offense. This we see his key evidence says the counterplan will be translated before implemented, which means the permutation is the same function as the counterplan. but acts as a soul of their AEL and understanding AEL good offense, but it turns the vicious mockery aside from the 2 and C because it prevents white people from directly using the language dropped, which is offense, and that they can see it coming out of the 2 and R, or a linguistic modification is inevitable and the counterplan only occurs in this instance and the government will deny AEL in every other instance for their framing arguments, which means that it always relies on SAE. The card was dropped, which also takes out their argument about why text is what textual shapes how function occurs because the function because the literal translation has to occur and then it doesn't change the function. Counterplans must be textually and functionally competitive. That creates the best debates. And it allows for developing the best offense for both the AFF and the NEG. The AFF, of course, to create a nuanced debate and the defense of the plan and advantages while establishing a fair bar for what constitutes an opportunity cost. The NEG is incentivized to do their homework and locate relevant literature-based counterplans, enhancing the educational value of debate. Absent a limit on NEG combination, debate is inverted too far in the NEG's favor. In-depth contestation over resolution of questions agrees the best education, but that value is evacuated when the NEG no longer has to debate the case because of non-literature-based process, counterplans like uncooperative federalism, OLG, where cakes were saying the plan in a different language. Usually way combination through offense, defense. Their interpretation does not solve our past offense and the intuicy. We conceded our offense, but our interpretation does have inroads that their offense and embrace that they have artificially constrained AFF ground is reason about AFF. We might marginally reduce NEG ground, but that's a relative given that the negative has more than enough tools in their arsenal to defeat the affirmative, including econ, oil, LNG, politics, any counterplan to make uniqueness irrelevant, market-based critiques, the job critique, etc., humanism, etc. There is no unique need for this genre of counterplan in the 2 and R. Their interpretation is the worst of the worst. It allows for teams to read a counterplan that is solely textually competitive that results in the same function as the plan, or that they can do the opposite, or they can pick any philosophical underpinning with the one and disagree with that specifically, but then affirm the rest of the affirmative. They can win. The philosophical combination is good, but that is not a sufficient win condition because their interpretation says or, textual or, functional or, competitive. So it means that our teams are more likely to want to word picks and process counterplans at white flight, not philosophical competition. But we did answer philosophical competition. It was explicit in the 1 R. Philosophical competition alone is horrible and encourages race to the margins, where teams pick out of any philosophical underpinning of the 1 and read the plan to the facts at the affirmative and saying using the word clean is bad, and that is impossible to debate because there are infinite possible philosophical underpinnings or disagreements we cannot contest. Second, textual alone, it means the worst genre of negative counterplans ought to compete. The NEG would get the arsenal of word cakes, replacing should with ought and substantially with significantly. They can replace any and all of the plans words with synonyms or abbreviations, or even read the plan in Spanish or Mandarin. That by itself is insufficient for competition because the judge has no idea whether the substitution changed the meaning of the plan, absent definitions of those words, which is beyond the scope of simply looking at a text, including functional matters because it's the only way to determine whether a genuine opportunity cost has been presented, e.g. the NEG should not win if the counterplans means and implementation are standard rules of the apps because they haven't disproven the app. That takes out the requirement about textual changing functional. If the counterplans cumulatively exhaust possible predictable defense of the plan and all become escape hashes for NEG seems to avoid debating the app on its core assumptions, so every debate is bad and one-sided. The language is function, arguments is relevant in the context of arguments. Third, functional alone is incredibly abusive. The NEG can obviate the plan itself by asserting that it's a way you can self-serve and go for infinite process counterplans, and NEG win condition becomes can you cut and invent Summers 94. The black unfairness argument is good, is a new argument, wasn't in the 2 NEG, so I shouldn't have to answer it, but the drop the 1 answer to it was not dropped. Overcorrecting in this instance flips both ways. They rely on fair adjudication and what to be able to defend their efforts as arbitrary counterplans for the affirmative. They have to be half and half of their debates, creating great worst forms of black unfairness because white debaters was the model of combination in order to reprocess counterplans on the margins that are only performatively or functionally competitive alone, or disagree with one single philosophical underpinning of the 1 EC. To read frankly card, a combination is not an anti-black double standard. We've said that right camp people shouldn't be going for the most unfair counterplans ever with their interpretation costs. This means that Kentucky will lose on the actual work case philosophical disagreements. You have to be affirmative. It was not dropped explicitly said that we get permutations. It was not read in the 1 R in first places we don't get perms, but theory violations are bad. The 2 R's new and not justify the text of read It's about tricky theory violations that operate to exclude black scholarship. This is not a reason that we should reject questions of competition for NEG advocacy because they tested the counterplan as an opportunity cost of the 1 EC, which is not. Good debate.